Hello friend, this is Ryan Hicks of TalkToProfit.com. Today I want to talk to you about those who went before us in the faith. You know, during New Testament times, people could look back to the Old Testament saints. And that was who they were looking to for inspiration. But they were also building upon the foundation they had laid. And yet today I see people not understanding the teachings that were laid, the foundation that was laid in Jesus Christ, and the benefit we have living today compared to living back then. Many people want to live in a time of persecution and great suffering like the early church did. And for some parts of the world, that is going on. But for many people, and most of those probably who are watching a video like this, you live with relative ease, very little to no persecution, and yet you go to churches that are telling you about, oh, this is happening. They're trying to get you into fear. I was talking with someone recently and they were just talking about all this stuff their church is telling them about how it's just getting them into fear, getting them confused and worried and perplexed. But that's not of God. God's not trying to get you afraid and worried and overly concerned over things, and a panic about this, a panic about that. We have the blessing, the true blessing of over 2,000 years of Christian teaching and practice in this world. There's almost no part of the world where there is not some Christian influence. And we get to experience the blessing of that. And yet people are trying to live like it's 2,000 years ago, and they're going to be persecuted and suffering. And so they're hiding their faith, and they're not walking in boldness. And they're not becoming great things because they have this poverty mentality. They got to be martyrs. They got to be weak. They got to be pushed down. They got to be crushed under the foot of the enemy. And yet that's not the case. Jesus is the victor, and you have the victory, even your faith. You submit yourself to God, resist the devil, and therefore he will flee from you. If he's not fleeing from you, then you didn't do one of those two things. You either didn't submit yourself to God, or you didn't resist the devil for him to flee. You don't need to get dragged in this fear-based mentality, this fear-based religion, which has nothing to do with Jesus Christ. It has to do with the religion of churchianity, of Christendom, but not actually following Jesus. Jesus came that you might have life and might have that more abundantly. If you're not having an abundant life, if you're not having it more abundantly, then you need to really look and see, what do you believe? Because according to your faith, be it unto you. You're not experiencing persecution, experiencing suffering, all these things because it's God's will. It's because that's what you have believed for. And you haven't had the wisdom to realize that you've attracted that, you've believed for that, because listen to what you've been taught. Listen to the supposed quote-unquote Christian media that you're consuming that's always about fear. You're going to get more of that, more things to fear when you're operating in that vibration of fear. You're not operating in the vibration of rejoicing evermore, as the scripture says. You're not operating in the vibration of thinking only about those things that are of good report, only those things that are lovely, only those things that are just, only those things that are pure. No, you're not in that vibration when you're operating in fear. And the world wants you to be in fear, the devil wants you to be in fear, and the devil's people want you to be in fear. And that has nothing to do with following Jesus. You have no reason to fear. You should fear not, walk in faith and boldness, and have the blessed, abundant life that Jesus came to give you. He didn't come to give you a life so you can sit in a church and be afraid. He came to give you life more abundantly. Receive that today. Don't let another day go by where you're ruled by fear, where you're operating in fear, where you're listening to people telling you to be in fear. You can accomplish and do whatever you so desire if you will believe. Stand up today in faith, fullness of faith, not fear, and receive God's blessing in your life. My friend, I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.